You know how at the end of an interview, they always ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" There's actually something you can ask that makes the employer feel like you're already working for them. This unfair advantage will separate you from all of the other candidates. I'll be revealing that question at the end, along with the most commonly asked questions if you're planning to work abroad. Now, how do I know these? So I've been in Korea for 5 years and worked as a head instructor at an English academy, where one of my duties was helping them with the hiring process. So I'll be revealing the list of questions they would give me to ask potential new employees. Let's dive right in. Now, in case you don't want to sit through this entire video, or maybe you just hate my voice, I've put a free PDF of these 10 questions down in the description. With that out of the way, question 10 is, why do you want to teach in Korea? So this is kind of an icebreaker question. They want to get a feel for, why are you interested in Korea? Why did you choose Korea? They want to gauge your interest. Do you actually care about coming here? Are you serious about working here? Or are you treating this kind of like a spring break? There's no real correct answer for this one, as long as it's something along the lines of maybe the culture got piqued your interest, maybe it was the language or the food, or maybe just the sightseeing that you wanted to do while you were here. Question number 9 is, why do you want to work for our company? Now, this question is very important because it shows if you actually put a little bit of time into researching the position you're going to be working for. This shows them that you are interested and that you did a little bit of homework going into the interview. Question number 8, here it starts a little bit about your classroom management, and it goes something like this. How do you handle students who aren't listening to your instructions? So here they're checking if you have an action plan for what to do when students are paying attention. Do you have set class rules that you're introducing at the very first lesson? And usually a follow-up classroom management question is question number 7. You have a student who is a fast learner, and you have one who is struggling behind in your class. How do you handle the slow learner? Now, this is a little bit of a tricky question because you don't want to put too much emphasis on the slow learner, but you don't want to neglect the rest of your class. Question number 6 is, what is the most important quality of a teacher? Now, here you have many good answers as long as you justify. For example, you can say patience, organization, class management, maybe teacher-student relationships, or just that you are very energetic and engaging with the students. Question number 5 is, if I walk into your classroom, what will I see? Now, again, this touches a little bit on your teaching style, but in a little bit more practical way, with showing real examples of what you would be doing in the classroom. So 2 things you can focus on here is emphasizing your high energy or showing high student participation. So for example, when you walk in, I would be asking students a question and having them talk more than I am. Or you could show that you would be in the middle of a fun activity with the students. Now, something we haven't touched on yet is all these English academies, you're going to be working with other teachers or a Korean teacher who is in your classroom helping you. And you need to show how well you work with others. So, question number 4 is, how do you handle conflict with a coworker? So this will show your conflict resolution skills, and you can go about it in a 2-step process. First, you can say, I would try to resolve it myself by talking with a coworker. And if that doesn't work, then you escalate it into step 2, where you go talk to a branch manager and you let them know of the conflict. Now, for question number 3, I have a little bit of a personal story. I went into an interview and they said, we only have one question for you. If you answer this, you got the job. Luckily, I did. That question is, what does being a good teacher mean to you? So I remember my answer being something along the lines of, what I do now, what I teach the kids now will have an impact for the rest of their lives. So I want to make sure that I'm prepped as well as I can be, and I want to be careful with what I'm saying to these students, as they will remember it forever. Now, these last 2 questions, I would make sure to always ask, as it shows how well prepared you are for the interview. Question number 2 is, what are your 3 biggest strengths? Now, we've touched on some of these before, but again, you have some options here. Just make sure you're prepared. You could say something like patience, classroom management, organization, high energy, student engagement, or on-the-spot thinking. All of these are great answers. Just make sure you are ready to elaborate on them a little bit. And the number 1 question that always threw people off because they might not be ready for it is, what is your biggest weakness? So I would make sure to always ask this, because it shows that if they weren't ready for the question, how is their on-the-spot thinking? How can they handle this question? On the other hand, it would show that they are prepared for this question and that they did a good job getting ready for the interview. So the trick with this question is to answer it with a positive spin. So for example, you could say something like, I tend to ask a lot of questions. So if I don't understand something, I might keep asking questions until I make sure I'm fully prepared and understand the task that I need to do. Another example could be, I tend to be strict with time. So when I am lesson planning, I make sure that I can cover all the material that I need to. And if I'm a little bit behind, I might rush, or I might extend the lesson just to make sure I fit everything within that time frame. And maybe one more example could be that once I start something, I always have to finish it. So again, this might show that you're willing to work a little bit longer and that you're a hardworking person to make sure to finish your tasks on time. Now, here are the questions to ask back, and this is what we talked about at the beginning of the video. These are often overlooked, but they're very important to ask. Question number 1, make sure you're always asking, do we need to work on red days or Saturdays? Now, some academies, maybe once a month, might make you work on Saturdays. Other academies will do makeup lessons on their red days. Now, if you don't know, red days are statutory holidays in Korea. Question number 2, I never knew about this and most people don't. Make sure you are asking, is there a summer camp or immersion program in your academy that I am required to do? So what happens is, these academies will have extra classes during summer and winter months. So let's say your regular schedule is from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. In the summertime, for usually 4 weeks at a time, they will also make you work morning hours from example 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, of course, you are getting paid extra for this. You usually get paid time and a half, but some people just don't want to work from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 4 weeks at a time, twice a year. Question number 3 is very specific from academy to academy, but make sure you're asking, are we allowed to leave the academy during break times? Because some academies are picky about this. You might have a 15-minute break, but you're not allowed to leave. You might have a 1-hour lunch break, but they'll say you have to stay and eat with the kids. So make sure you're asking this question, that 1-hour lunch break, it's your time. You want to be able to go out, maybe grab a coffee, and some academies just don't let you do that. Now, question number 4 really gives you insight on what a day-to-day feels like working at that academy, and that is, tell me what a regular day looks like. So this is where they would walk you from hour to hour, their schedule, when your prep hours are, when the break times are. So for example, when I started working, I had 3-hour classes and we only had a 5-minute break time in between. And so basically I was teaching 6 hours at a time usually with just the 5-minute break times. I did get used to it eventually, but I was not aware of it when I first started. Now, question number 5, your unfair advantage is, what would I need to do so that 3 months from now, your academy is a better place? The reason this works is it's a little bit like Inception. The employer will already be thinking of you working in their academy. So they're going to be saying something like, make sure that you are prepping well, make sure that you're on time, make sure that you have high energy in your classroom. So they're already thinking of you working for them. So when they look at a list of all the candidates and they see your name pop up, they've already thought about you working for them. And that is going to be your unfair advantage. Now, if you're interested, I did put a Korea Teaching Starter package in the description. Check that out. And if you're curious about anything living in Korea, let me know in the comments what you want to hear next. I'll see you in the next one.